Hey Hannah, it's Fowler. So I've pulled up the trig ratios and I'll work out a couple problems with you on here, and then I'm going to send this link to you and hopefully it helps and makes sense. So for this problem right here, this is like the first level. It wants you to find cosine of angle G. So if we go to angle G, cosine, let's see, some old hippie caught another hippie tripping on applesauce. I'm going to get out my paper real quick so I can write some stuff down, because I should probably have that out as well. And I'll grab my calculator as well. Yeah. All right. So paper out, calculator out, and we have this here. So I like to write down my little trig ratios here. So some old hippie caught another, that's an A, hippie tripping on applesauce. All right, so for G is right here. We want cosine, so cosine has the adjacent and hypotenuse. The first thing we want to identify is the hypotenuse, and that's always across from the right angle. So hypotenuse is 73. So I'll write cosine of G equals hypotenuse on the bottom, so 73. Adjacent on top. So adjacent is going to be the side next to my angle. So the one touching that's not the hypotenuse. So it's touching the 48. So we got 48 there. Doo-doo. Okay, so with the fraction, we want to simplify it. And it says you can write it as an integer decimal rounded to the nearest hundredth. Oh, poop. So it does want us to divide. I usually write it as fractions, but it says we could do a decimal. So I typed in 48 divided by 73, and we got 0.65. So nearest hundredth is 2 decimal places. So if you want to use the decimals, which that might be easiest here, let's see, the 7 will round it up, so it should be 0.66. But I know sometimes it's a little bit finicky with the rounding. Okay, so let's see, 0.66, and I'm gonna hit submit. It worked. All right, so the next one, we're gonna find tangent of angle I. So I'm gonna go to I, and on my paper I'll write tan of I. So tangent is opposite over adjacent. So the adjacent I'm going to find first. Well, actually I'm going to look at the hypotenuse. 13's hypotenuse, we will not use that. So I'm going to cover it up. So adjacent is the one touching our angle I. That's not the hypotenuse, so it's 5. So I'm going to start with that. And I'll write my 5 on the bottom. Okay, opposite is on top. So the opposite of my angle is the side not touching it. So that should be the 12. Okay, so we've got 12 divided by 5. So 12 divided by 5. Okay, we got 2.4. That's already in the tenths place, so we're good. Well, hundredths place. So I'll type in 2.4. Submit. Okay, I'm going to go up a level. Okay, for this one, we're trying to find sine of angle R. Well, we're missing a side here. So when we're missing a side, we got to use the Pythagorean theorem to figure it out. So it's the hypotenuse, because it's across from the right angle. So we're going to add the squares together of the two sides and to pick the square root. So we'll do 28 squared plus 45 squared. And then we'll take the square root of that number to get 53. So the hypotenuse of this triangle is going to be 53, and sine has hypotenuse in it. So let's go and write sine of R equals my little fraction. I'll write the 53 at the bottom Okay, and now we just need the opposite. So opposite of my angle R is the side not touching it, so it's the 45. Okay, I'm sorry about my bad handwriting, trying to hold the camera and do this at the same time. So we got 45 divided by 53 equals this right here. We want to round to the nearest hundredth, so that 9 right there is going to round that 4 up. So the answer should be 0.85. So that's what we're going to type in here. .8. Oh my word. 0.85. Submit. Okay. So we're going to jump a level again. Okay, this one, we want tangent of angle T. So hypotenuse is here. We don't need him for tangent. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. So opposite adjacent, we're missing this guy. So we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem to find him first. So if we're missing a side that's not the hypotenuse, we'll subtract the squares of these guys and take the square root. So the biggest one goes first. So we'll do 65 squared. Take away 56 squared. And then I'm going to take the square root of that. So second square root to get 33. So this right here is 33. And for T, that's the adjacent. So I want tan of T. Tan adjacent's on the bottom. So we said our adjacent is 33, so the bottom of our fraction will be 33. The top is going to be the opposite. So opposite of our angle is the side not touching this T, which is 56. So in the calculator, I'll do 56 divided by 33. Okay, and we got this here. So that's 1.69. The 9, because that's a 6, is going to round up to make it larger. So it'll actually be 1.7. I'll just add the 0 there. Okay. And let's go one more level. Ooh, this is fun. So don't be scared of the radicals. They're perfectly fine. We're going to find tan of G. So on here, I'm going to write tan of G equals, tan's our opposite over adjacent. So G's right here. The opposite is the side not touching my angle. So opposite is 3. Divided by the adjacent. So the adjacent is the side touching it that's not the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is this guy. So you want the square root of 17. You're too cute. Okay, so in the calculator, I'm going to type in 3 divided by the square root of 17. And it gives me this decimal right here. So going to the nearest hundredth, that's 0.7. That 2 will round up to a 3. And that's what we're going to type in. 0.73. Okay, I hope this helps. Let me know if you have any other questions, and I could do this again if you like. Okay, welcome. Bye.